as we talk today, the Federal Reserve has announced that it's going to increase the federal discount rate by another 25 basis points, which was probably not a surprise to the market. Do you think that was the right decision, though?
Look, I think it was a tough decision. Was Jay going to pause? Was he going to increase it by the 25 bips or more? I think what he said was, frankly, jolly sensible, if you'll pardon the British expression. I do that occasionally. He said, we don't know how much credit tightening is going to come from what's gone on in the last couple of weeks. We don't quite know what's going to happen there. But we do know that inflation is a real problem. It's persistent. It's starting to come off. But he has to tackle this. And in Jay, the markets trust, and many of us do, because he has been so clear about slaying the inflation dragon. But he's going to wait and see what the data shows as to what the impact of the next, the last couple of weeks have been. That feels like a very sensible response. Let's tackle this and make sure everyone's quite clear that they're going to tackle inflation hard, but let's also see what the data is and adjust accordingly.
Now, he has said consistently, I want to get inflation back to 2%, where it roughly was for 25 years. But some people say 2% is kind of low. It will produce unemployment up to 6% and maybe guarantee a recession. Do you think 2% is too low? What about 3% as inflation goal?
As we look out longer term in the world, there's a number of different things that are probably more inflationary in nature we've got to tackle if we're going to look at moving to a greener economy. That's more inflationary. If we're going to be looking at building in much more resiliency into supply chains, that adds some costs to the systems. So 2% is going to be quite hard when we think in the longer run about some of these trends that need to be taken into account. It's not impossible, but it could be difficult.
Did Jay Powell ever call you up for your advice? Does he call you, or you call him, or you talk to him lately, or to Janet Yellen? Do they call you, and you're running one of the biggest banks?
Yes. They do call.
And what do they say?
They do call. They will ask for opinions on things. So I think it's great to see that we've got people that aren't just telling you what to do, or just they're soliciting advice, trying to understand what's happening in the economy. What are we seeing? What are we learning? Because we're a big global bank. We've got operations everywhere. We have a lot of information on it. So they'll be testing out what they see going on. They'll be asking for advice. They won't necessarily take it, but I'm used to that. I'm a mother of teenagers.
If you're in a board meeting or something like that, does your assistant tell you that there's a call from the Secretary Treasury or Chairman of the Federal Reserve, where they put that right through, or do you say, I'll get back to them when I'm done?
My chairman sitting in front of me here, you can attest that I will dump the board to pick up Janet Yellen or Jay Powell.
So do you see any evidence in the information and data that Citi has that we are heading for a recession, a mild recession, or some type of recession? If so, when might you think we would see the evidence of that?
Yeah, I mean, we've certainly been expecting that a recession could well be happening in the second half of the year. If one does occur, we don't think it'll be that heavy and that hard a recession, because normally when you're heading into some tougher times, the consumers not in such good health, the companies aren't, the banks aren't, whereas that's not the case right now. The consumer is in good health. The corporate balance sheets are strong. People took advantage of a low rate environment to make sure their balance sheets are in good shape, and the banks are strong. So the factors that typically amplify a recession are not in play at the moment. So we have to make sure there's nothing crazy happens in the geopolitical world that would change it. But we could well have a mild recession. The last couple of weeks could make that a bit more likely. Between price stability and financial stability, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be a tough one, and the U.S. economy is likely to pull out of it pretty quickly.